Taco and Tech.
Man, I'm the king. Yeah, I'm the king. I'm the king of almost everything. I got it all. I got it all. All except for one fine thing. That thing is you and me. It's you and me. What does it mean to be the king? If you ain't got just what you need, a chunky star with no guitar. And you got the papers but got no weed. I still want you, you don't want me. It's
Somebody turn on some damn music!
What you gonna talk about?
Taco and Tech.
man, I'm the king. Yeah, I'm the king. I'm the king of almost everything. I got it all.
Okay, that was my bad there. That was my bad there. I was messing with the setting. Welcome to another episode of Taco and Tech. I am your host, Jeff Brunson. Making mistakes over here. It's been a while. But here we are joined with Tailgate Talks and Talkin' Tech podcast here. And we're going to go through the full 2023 Texas Tech football schedule and make our predictions on a game-by-game basis, and just see how we think the season is going to go, and then we'll we'll test it out once we end up here. So last year, or at least the guys I had on, we predicted 8-4. So we got pretty close. Finished 7-5. We got. I'm going to blame the Baylor game. We did predict Baylor to win. I remember Mahomes was in the house. I think there's a few others, but that's the one I'm going to blame it on, and that caused us to be one game off. But we won the bowl game, and so we're ready to go. So, but first, let's just introduce yourselves. Maybe those that don't know, if they're watching live or in. So, Brooks, go ahead. I'll let you start.
Yeah, like Jeff said, my name is Brooks. I'm a host on Tailgate Talks, and so we are part of the nation's podcast network, as well as Steven and the Talkin' Tech guys over here. We've had a few collabs with them. We call it the Talkin' Talks collabs when we do. Have a good time. But yeah, we just, talk about things we love with Texas Tech. We've been doing it for a little over 2 years. This is our third football season coming up, so we got some fun stuff planned for this season. So if you're, like most of us, can't get enough Texas Tech, podcasts, go give us a follow. We're on Apple and Spotify, and of course you can find us on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, posting. That's where we do most of our social medias. So yeah, go give us a follow.
There you go. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm Steven from the Talkin' Tech podcast, part of the Nation Podcast Network. We've been doing this for 3 years now. This is, I looked back at it the other day, third football season as well for us, and we just like to have fun with it, man. Follow us on X, Talkin' Tech Pod. But super excited for football season, game week. I've just been hyped up for the past 2 weeks, getting ready to talk ball.
We are game week. It's almost here. Are either y'all going to Wyoming or you're going to Laramie?
I will not be. My father will be in attendance, but I could not make the trip out there, unfortunately. Maybe in the future sometime I'll get to go on some of these road trips, but right now just sticking to the Jones for this season so far.
Yeah, it's quite the trek for me as well. I'm over here in Louisiana for at least the next couple months until we move back to the great state. But so not going to Laramie, but will be on the couch watching every second.
Nice. I am going to Laramie, actually.
Nice.
All right.
I'll be. In fact, I think the only game I won't be there in person will be the game in Austin. I'm not sure, and that's just because it's the day after Thanksgiving. That's a very family holiday. It's very big for our family, so I don't know that we're going to make it, but I've got my flight to Utah and West Virginia taken care of, and so I think the rest I can drive. So Laramie, Lubbock to Laramie is about 10 hours, which is like driving to Corpus Christi. So so let's go. Let's do it.
And my parents are flying into Denver like Thursday. They're gonna hang out there and then drive up from Denver to Laramie. So they cut the trip in half, I think, with doing that. But
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely
Absolutely.
jealous of both you guys being, located in Lubbock, West Texas, because I just miss that place so much. I haven't been to a game in Lubbock since 2020, and I'm just itching to come back.
Oh,
it's
now,
time.
now's the
Come
time.
on.
2020 wasn't really the time to come to a game,
Yeah, right.
but
We did go for the Baylor game though, and that was a John Garibay game winner at the last.
Oh,
horrible,
nice.
Horrible football game.
Yes.
Overall. Just two really bad teams, but it was fun.
But you got the iconic tackle from that game, and you got
Yes.
the Garibay game winner. So you have a
Yeah.
couple moments from that game that will live on.
Yep, only having the 25% COVID crowd there, so you really heard the boom from Schooler there.
oh yeah, that was a hit. That was okay. We'll get started here in just a moment. Let me just ask you, okay, which game are you most looking forward to on 2023 schedule?
I mean, for me, it's got to be Oregon. It's a team that I have not seen us play. It's a team coming to Lubbock, Of course, they've got Nike and the crazy jerseys, so you never know what they're going to run out there wearing. But they obviously have a lot of success, a lot of good recent history. And so they come in with a top 15 ranking, and Bo Nix, who's in year 20 of playing college football. And so, yeah, it's Oregon for me because, how many chances do we get to have the Ducks in Lubbock, Texas? So,
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that one. For me, it's Texas, though. I mean, last game in probably a long time because they're too scared to schedule us in the future. I'm going to be in attendance for this one, actually, so
right.
extremely hyped about that. Making it down to DKR and hopefully taking over that big old arena, but we're ready.
Yeah, Texas is the correct answer. So
yeah,
for-
but
for-
I get to go see us play Oregon, and I'm not going to get to go to Austin. So,
That's
I'm going
fair.
to take the one.
No,
I get to see 'em
that
play.
is fair. That is fair. But yeah, Texas is the correct answer for just last game. It's the last year here. It's for the Brett Yormark comments, which we'll talk about later, and just everything, everything about it, and them popping off today about it. It's just it's good times.
Keeps building.
That's right. Yeah, rent free, as they say, rent free. Okay, so first game, we got Texas Tech this Saturday in Laramie, Wyoming, playing Wyoming. 6:30 p.m. We got CBS. What do y'all got?
I mean, I got a victory. Obviously, we're coming in as a 14-point favorite. I feel like that's going to be a comfortable victory for us. At least I expect us to get a comfortable victory. Wyoming's going to want to run the football, but we've been talking up this defensive line all offseason, and this is a great first test for them just to kind of show how tough they can be. They can shut down that run. If you can put points on the board early and often, make Wyoming have to throw the ball, this should be a relatively easy victory, and then you get to come home for a big Oregon game.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I got Texas Tech in this one against Wyoming, but the thing that I wasn't familiar, like most are, with Wyoming football, so it was cool hearing Tim DeRuyter kind of break them down a little bit. Zach Kidley as well in the presser this morning, but they're super slow. They play. I think they averaged about 50 plays a game last year. Oh, sorry, got the dog. They averaged about 50 plays a game last year, and I think Tech was upwards of 80. So I think we're going to see them light it up a little bit.
I agree.
Yeah, definitely agree. I've obviously got Texas Tech as well. I just think they're ready. They are absolutely ready. The coaching staff is ready, and when the coaching staff is excited, like, you have to be excited. Like, they're and it's tough when you go to watch practices, and I don't know if you've ever done that, but you don't. It's hard to judge it, right? Because you have a good play. Is that okay? Was that just bad defense? Do we, was that just a great play with the offense, or just the right call, or And then you wonder, well, we got a sack. So is that, bad O-line play or just stellar defensive line play? But I am extremely excited for our D-line. I really am.
Yeah.
I know we lost, and of course McGuire's talked about, I know we lost, Tyree Wilson to the draft, and he thinks we're going to be better. But I think we will be better. I do. I think it's Steve Linton.
Yeah,
is just some of the moves that I've seen him and the spin moves and how quick his burst is just amazing. I don't think Wyoming has anybody that can compete with that. So we'll see if their style of play can affect us. But when you got the Wizard, 50 Burger himself calling plays and that's his goal. It's going to be fun. I don't think that Wyoming is going to be prepared as well. So that's a unanimous 1-0 start. Coming back to Lubbock, we got the Tyler Shuck revenge game. I don't even know if it's a revenge game or not. I don't know how he how he actually sees it. I know they've made comments about him and how he's not that good, but they saw him 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, I think it was the COVID year too. So
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so this game, of course, September night, 6 p.m. This will be on Fox. So that's 2 big-time channels that Texas Tech can start the season. That's going to be nice to see, definitely for a change. It's nice to see the national hype kind of being on Tech a little bit, honestly. So, with that being said, we got Texas Tech hosting Oregon, the Ducks.
Yeah, like I said, this is the game I'm most excited about. And it's right up on us. Got friends coming into town for it. I know Steven doesn't like it, but we're pepperminting out the stadium. I'm in a red section, so I got to go, make sure I got a nice red polo for the season starter. I'm going to go Tech, man. I'm going to go with us at home, the home crowd. The environment's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be a shootout. I know both teams have good offenses with veteran quarterbacks. I mentioned Bo Nix. He's back for yet another year. He's had lots of college experience, some in Auburn, now at Oregon. Their defense wasn't great last year. I know they've got some transfer portal guys to come in and try to fix that up, especially a guy up front, guy in the secondary. Their names aren't going to come to me all of a sudden right now, but I know they're trying to reinforce that defensive unit back there. But I don't think they've got enough pieces to really just completely come in and shut you down. So I think it's going to be a high-scoring game that could end up being the team with the ball last having the chance to win it. That's kind of the game I expect, but I expect the Red Raiders to have the advantage at the end, whether that's getting a stop or getting the touchdown to ultimately win a huge game against a team in their last year in the Pac-12. So yeah, I'm excited for this one, and let's go get that dub. I want this one bad.
Yeah, I've gone back and forth with this all off season. Are we going to beat the Ducks? Are we there? I mean, this is the biggest non-conference game in the last, I don't know, however many years for Texas Tech. One of the things that I talked about on the Talking Tech pod when we were going through our season predictions and everything like that is we have a couple games on this schedule that are program-defining moments, I think, for Joey and for really this program as a whole. People have a certain perception about Texas Tech. They don't really play defense. They air raid, Mike Leach type of stuff is what a lot of people still think of Texas Tech, and not really a winning, program necessarily. Right. And you go and beat a top 15 Oregon team in Lubbock, it just changes a lot of perception about what Texas Tech is. A lot like what TCU had last year. And I just really think Texas Tech gets it done against the Ducks. I've ended on this, and I'm going to stick firm to it because it's a Tyler Shuck revenge game, which he did get a fair share of hate over there from Oregon. Yeah. He was in and out of the lineup during that COVID year. I think Anthony Brown was the other quarterback that they had on that roster. But Tim DeRuyter also, Marcel Yates well, coming over from Oregon. So all these guys are going to get up for this one. There's just no way that this team is not ready to play and ready for Oregon. And I'm just also not a big Bo Nix guy. I think he's a good quarterback. He's obviously a veteran guy, been here for 5-6 years in college football now. So no, I got the Red Raiders in this one, starting 2-0.
Okay. Well,
Let's go.
I have a feeling. I think it was where's this going to go when we end this in this live here. So definitely, I'm on the hype train. I think I think it's going to be a mistake for all the Bo Nix building
Yeah.
whatever they're called, billboards
Whatever
and
that was.
whatever they're trying to do, freaking in Dallas and like knowing that's Big 12 country essentially, like that's obviously intentional. I would guess. When they play in Texas, well, Lubbock's not that close, but you just have to wonder is it just. Are they trying to persuade the votes to get him the height? Like that doesn't work,
Yeah.
Like I don't. You can.
I don't get it either.
It's not like it's not like advertising. Like you get the. And I don't know. Maybe it is. They're trying to get the name, but at the end of the day, his play and his stats are going to determine who wins the Heisman. So I don't know that you can use an advertising tactic to do that. Right. But I'm definitely on the same. I don't think they'll be ready. I haven't looked ahead at the weather, but I don't know that they'll be ready for the heat.
Yeah, that's always the
we
big
will
thing for these teams.
If this game was in Oregon, I'd probably pick Oregon. So I do think there is going to be a home field advantage in that sways it to Tech's favor. Did you ever watch the Monty Show?
I did not.
Unfamiliar. No.
Okay, yeah, he's based out of Utah, and they do a lot of stuff on realignment. Anyway, he's also on the Tech bandwagon, so that's cool to see somebody that's not even affiliated with,
right.
Even the Big 12 at all, and then kind of seeing what we got going on and at least have an opinion. Doesn't mean it's right, but
right.
It's just cool to see that. So me and the Monty Show are pulling for Tech, and we both think that whether it's the heat, whether it's just the style of play, whether it's the crowd, whatever it is, I don't know that if they'll be ready, especially week 2.
Right.
Like it seems like we're ready. So anyway, we'll just see. But big game on Fox. That's definitely, like you said, a statement game to say, okay, is Texas Tech for real? Is the hype for real or not? It doesn't mean that we still can't have a good season if we lose the game, right?
Yeah.
What K-State lost to? Who they lose to early in the season? Tulane, yeah. And their season was fine, right? And they didn't make the playoffs, but they won the Big 12.
When losing to Oregon is a lot more acceptable than losing to Tulane.
Yes, it is. But yeah, that's
a good season though last year. They beat
did.
USC.
Hey.
They did.
They weren't a slip, but yeah, Oregon. I think that's something a lot of Tech fans just if we lose to Oregon, it's not all over. Like there's still a whole lot of possibilities in front of you. I just expect us to go out there and play a really good game, and that's what you want to see time in and time out is just play to give yourself a chance to win the game. And I feel like Joey just coaches this team to have that chance, and that's something that's all you want is, hey, every game we're going to have an opportunity to win, and let's go out there, let's get this one done. And then, yeah, if you get that win over an Oregon team that a lot of people kind of have as a sleeper college football playoff pick coming out of the pack, that's going to be huge. And like you said, that's going to vault you probably top 20, maybe top 15, and then the rest of the season, it's on from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the momentum from this game would be huge because, and of course we're about to go over the next few games, but you have to assume that even if we lose the game, we'll probably start out 4-5-1.
Yes.
We could be 6-0 potentially, 5-0. I can't remember the exact schedule. But anyway, it's a big game. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be crazy, and like you, I have the Red Raiders coming out on top. So that's 2-0.
2-0 start.
We are starting out season 2-0. Week 3, maybe the biggest game of the year. We've got Tarleton State, September 16th. That'll be on Big 12 Now on ESPN Plus. So make sure you have your subscription if you want to watch that.
Go get that sub.
So could be the biggest game of the year, just because if you lose it, that would be devastating.
That would be pretty bad. That would be really bad. But yeah, it's Tarleton State. The only thing I love about this game is I do love where it falls on the schedule, because if you come off a crazy high victory over Oregon, or like a possibly devastating loss, one that you lose at the end or something like that, it's nice to have Tarleton there to just kind of rebound or just kind of come back down to earth against, get an easy win, get yourself, fix whatever needs to be fixed from the first two games. Go out there, work on that, and get ready for a Big 12 conference season. So I do love that this one falls right after Oregon, so you can kind of ride the high and get yourself corrected, and then get into Big 12 play, or get those things fixed that were maybe glaring problems in the Oregon game, and then get yourself right before you head on to West Virginia. So that's the only thing I'm going to say about this game. Like where it falls on the schedule, this should be a dub no matter what.
We've had scares in the past. I don't want to
Yes.
bring up Houston Baptist, but I'm bringing up Houston Baptist. This is not going to be one of those situations. This team is too well prepared and too senior led to drop something like this. Yeah, Tarleton's in for a tough day. I also love the idea of them going throwback uniforms for this one, considering we were 0-3 last year wearing throwbacks. Get it back on the board, get some dubs in the throwbacks, get the people ready. So, no, yeah, it's going to be a thrashing. Texas Tech.
Absolutely. And of course, the Houston Baptist OC is now with us, right? Wasn't that Zach and Bailey?
And the kicker. And the kicker now. Gino Garcia used to be at Houston.
Oh,
Tech.
for real? Oh, okay. I did not realize that. That's nice.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, I mean, we have Mr. 50 Burger. This could be a 70 burger. If we don't, let off the gas and, later on, I would expect possibly Baron Morton starting the, third quarter or at least a series 2 and then Jake Strong, maybe mid fourth to end the game, possibly. So, we got Kobe Moat dropping in, my man.
Kobe.
He says, we don't need another SFA game from 2021.
Oh, shoot. I even forgot about SFA. Yikes.
There's been like more than one of these, and that just kind of shows you where we were at before this, is that there's multiple. There's SFA, there's Central Arkansas from Cliff days. There's so there's some close
I
ones
like to
in there.
just drop the Matt Wells era, just completely drop it out of my memory. And so I don't like to remember those games. Thanks, Kobe.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Probably spent more time on that than probably needed to. So, all right, next game. TV to be determined. That's pretty much the rest of it. Maybe Texas is already determined. I can't remember. But we are traveling. So our first Big 12 game is away. It's in Morgantown, West Virginia. I've got my flight ready.
All right.
September 23rd. And we got somebody asking about my outfit. That's for the game, my man. That's for the game. I've already told.
That was phenomenal.
I got so many looks. People ask me, "Why do you do that?" And my wife's like, Even my wife is like, "Why do you do that?" I'm like, "I don't know, because to me it's fun."
It's for the victories.
you gotta
You
have
live-
fun
This
with
for the
it, yeah.
people.
You
That's what
live
do it
once.
for.
So, just for those watching and for you guys, so that came about from a conversation between me, Coach Juice, and Kitley. And Coach Juice wanted to start up some Wizard merchandise to sell. I'm not sure if he was being serious or not. He had some ideas. We were joking around. I'm like, hey, I'll pimp that stuff for you. I'll help
there
you
you go.
sell it, and I'll dress as a wizard for the games. And then I kind of thought about it. I'm like, dude, I could actually dress for the wizard for the games. And so I ordered it, got my lettering, got it fixed up on there, Wizard 50 Burger, and
like
we'll
it.
do it. So,
Gotta love
yeah, ran into Kenny Perry. He's dying. laughing at me, and we're talking. And of course, he called Kitley. He's like, come on over. Somebody needs to see you. I don't know how you said it, but anyways, of course, Kitley loves it. Absolutely loves it.
Sure. How could you
They-
not?
They think it's hilarious. So I told him, I said, I'm going to wear it, Wyoming, into Oregon.
There you go.
I said, I'm not
We'll
sure
look
after
for you
that.
on TV.
There you go. And then, who was it? Maybe Dave. Was it Dave Martin? I have to think of his name. Anyway, he's like, well, hey, if we keep scoring 50 burgers, you got to keep wearing it. I'm like, okay. So for as long as at least Tarleton, I've got to wear it for Tarleton, and then we'll see after that. But probably at that point, I may just wear it to home games. I don't know if I'll take it to. I'll take it to Wyoming.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good idea.
Possibly Provo. Okay, anyway, we got off track. We got people commenting and messing us up. So, all right, we're going to Morgantown, West Virginia. First Big 12 game. What you got?
Morgantown, West Virginia. Let's get another dub here. I mean, I'm not going to pick West Virginia to beat us. They couldn't beat this coach who was before Joey McGuire that we like to forget. He was undefeated against Neil Brown, so I don't think they're going to get a victory over us here. And even better, I think it might fast track Neil Brown's exit from West Virginia. Even though I do like him being there because it's a guaranteed win every single season, I think things go as they have been over the last few years. Their offense isn't going to be able to match up with ours. I think our defense can control the game for us, and I think you walk out of Morgantown 4-0.
Yeah, I hate to say this because West Virginia Twitter is fantastic, but I just don't trust the climb this year. It's tough out there for the Mountaineers. I love the memes that Neil Brown is bringing, but not much else. I got Texas Tech in this one, and I do have to say, though, my hottest take of probably the first couple weeks of college football is West Virginia is going to upset Penn State, and I have that written down. I don't know why, but I'm going with it, and but I don't think that carries over through the rest of the season. And I think Texas Tech gets this first Big 12 win on the road in Morgantown.
Is that game at a neutral site or is that game at Penn State?
I don't even know. I went with it.
That is a very bold hot
take.
take.
It's a gut thing, you know?
Right from the gut.
Right from the gut, man.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. So, I do think West Virginia will be improved. I forgot. Did they finish last?
Yeah.
Last season? I think
it was
they
either
did.
them or Iowa State at the bottom. I can't remember which one.
I think it was West Virginia, if I'm not mistaken. So I do think they'll be improved. I don't think it's going to be a vast improvement. It just doesn't appear that way. So I definitely agree. Yeah. So, one of my favorite stats, and I went blank. What? Oh my gosh, who's the quarterback that's never lost to? No, he's never lost to West Virginia as a starting QB.
Columbia.
Yes, Columbia. I couldn't get. I had Sonny coming in my head. I could not get to Columbia.
You cannot compare Sonny Cumbie to Henry Columbia.
No, I know. I wasn't comparing them, but the names are similar, and Cumbie would not get out of my head. I knew that wasn't right. Yeah, Columbia has never lost to West Virginia or Notre Dame as the starting quarterback. So, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Because West Virginia actually has some decent teams, but the fact that Matt Wells and Columbia could go in there and still win is nuts. I don't see the trajectory of West Virginia and Texas Tech to be the same. They're definitely different. So even though it is Morgantown is not the most pleasant place to play, we've won at least twice in a row, if not three.
Yeah, last two times I'm pretty sure we've won.
I think it's twice. So I'm going to say it's the third time as well. Second time for Joey McGuire. And Texas Tech will start the season 4-0. And so far, it's been unanimous.
Yeah. Like where we're at as a team here, guys.
We are
Just a bunch of smart guys right here.
Yeah.
That's right. No, yeah, this isn't homers. These are legit analytics.
Legit analytics.
We put time in here. All right, Parents Weekend, September 30th. Houston comes to the Jones.
Yeah, another team, just kind of like West Virginia. It's like they got to prove that they can beat us. We've dominated them here over the last 10 years, going back to Cliff, Matt Wells, now into Joey McGuire. Now last year was a little too close for comfort. I did not appreciate having to go to overtime and having to convert on a 4th and 19 to keep that game alive. I would prefer it to be handled much easier. Now Donovan Smith is of course going to be on the other side this time. But if there's any coaching staff in America that is prepared for Donovan Smith, it is the coaching staff that got to coach him last year. So I'm pretty confident that we're going to be able to draw up a good defensive game plan to keep him uncomfortable. But ultimately, their defense just wasn't good last year. They gave up a lot of points to a lot of people. SMU hung 70 points on them. I don't think they did anything to improve on that. I am very confident in this game. Like I said, I can't pick Houston until they prove that they can hang with the big boys, till they can go out there and actually beat us. I don't think they get that done this year, and I think your Red Raiders start the season 5-0.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a tough opening year for Houston in the Big 12. It's been a whole year since we played the Cougars. It's wild. And that game last year, that was probably the worst I think I've seen our O-line play in all facets. I mean, it was just awful to watch, and we still pulled out the win by, a couple clutch plays by who is now the Houston starting quarterback. They just don't have enough this year. They lost Tank Dell. They lost Clayton Tune. They lost a lot of good pieces and integral pieces for that Dana Holgorsen Houston team. So, no, I do think Tech gets this done 5-0. It scares me to predict that, but hey, we're out here. We're having fun. So, Texas Tech.
Texas Tech. So, it's going to take Houston some time to get ready. It just is. It took TCU some time. They were probably similarly, I guess, rated programs by the time they came in. TCU probably elevated more than Houston, but still a lot of wins. A lot of national recognition. Whether it's worthy or not, we can debate that. But TCU had the undefeated season. We can talk about the schedule, and Houston, for the past few years would lose one, maybe 2 games. So they would be up there in the rankings, whether justified or not.
Yeah,
they were, and so they're, and Houston recruiting, it's a hotbed. It's Houston and Dallas. I mean, those they're ballers there. Just like what we see in West Texas. We got some players here as well, but when you have a saturation of population,
right
there, it's just amazing the amount of players. So they'll probably get there, at some point, if they make the right. I don't know if Dana's the right hire or not. We'll see. I'm glad he's not here. I'll be honest. I was not on Dana. Nothing against him. I love him as a person. I love his his infatuation with Red Bull. It cracks me up. But I don't know that he's necessarily the coach that's at least not on Joey McGuire's level. At least where we think that where he's going. So.
Well, and you compared him to TCU. I mean, TCU had an all-timer, Gary Patterson.
Oh, yes.
So
yes.
Dana.
No,
I've never been a Dana guy. I've never been a firm believer in him, and I just don't think he's there very much longer. To be quite honest with you.
Yeah, probably not. Especially with the. Now, did he play? How many Big 12 games? Was it just 2 that he played last year?
He played Kansas and Tech, I think.
Okay,
lost both.
And lost both. Not sure about the year before, but I think he played at least one the year before.
They've won.
Oh, that might have been us.
When we
played them in NRG before, yeah.
In their season where they went 11-2 or 10-2, and they lost to us in that season.
Cincy made the playoff that year. That was the other team they lost to.
I think like dating back to Dana's first year at Houston, they've only recorded one Power Five victory, and that was over Auburn in a bowl game. Other than that, they've lost like 9 or 10 Power Five games. So yeah, he's got to prove that he can hang, and this is the first year where you're playing all Power Five teams basically all season long, and so it could be a brutal welcoming to the Big 12 conference for them this season. And so, yeah, I'm with you guys. I don't think Dana lasts there much longer, especially after last season. They had all those high hopes, and then they were destroyed pretty much immediately, and they were pretty mediocre last year, I would say. So,
Yeah, and they had a ton of penalties.
oh yeah,
Just a
ton
ton of penalties. Yes, dumb penalties. That type. That kind of worked in West Virginia, I guess. The kind of how they would come here and intimidate us with the sledgehammer or whatever they brought, and just kind of the attitude that worked. I don't know if it works in Houston. They're not. Or maybe just the culture's not there yet. Maybe the culture was kind of there, so they were in West Virginia, so they were kind of set. They could do that, but in Houston it's not there, and so I don't know if that coaching style will work if you're trying to, I guess allow aggressive penalties where your attitude's not checked.
yeah,
So we'll see, but yeah, I mean I think he'll get at least 2, so they'll give him a pass this year because it's first year. But if it's let's say he wins 4 games, I don't know. I'm just picking a number out of the air. I don't know which I feel like 4.5 is the Vegas line, if I remember correctly. Not that it matters, but so I'll let's just say 4 games. If he wins 4 games again, there's like no improvement. I could see them say, okay, let's move on.
yeah.
But yes, obviously, I've got Tech beating Houston, especially being here. It's kind of fun that we play them back to back at home.
Yeah, I was glad for that.
They're probably not happy about it, but you know what? They get Texas at their place, so they can get beat by them as well. Maybe. All right, October 7th, we are going to Waco, whatever, however it is that you want to say it. Playing Baylor, first game in October.
Yeah, this is where the schedule gets tricky. I think it's these next 4 games that kind of really will make or break your season here. But there's like a few games that I just want really bad. And last year I really wanted Baylor, and the whole Mahomes thing there, the crowd was crazy, and then just to go out there and kind of lay your big dud of the season really last year at home to Baylor just still irks me to this day. I hope that you can go back to Waco this year and revenge that loss. I know how much this game means to McGuire and his staff, him coming from Baylor. And so I want this game badly. I think you are a better team than Baylor this year. The thing that makes me nervous about this is that it is in Waco, but this is a place that we have played pretty well at on the road, considering. Last time they were a really good team, and you almost had a field goal to send it to overtime. So I think they're not that big of a home field advantage where it makes me that nervous. So I'm saying Texas Tech moves to a 6-0 start here and pulls off the victory against Dave Aranda and them boys in Waco.
Yeah, that's this one was the hardest one so far to pick.
Yeah.
Maybe besides Oregon, but no, I'm gonna be here for this one. I'm gonna be in Waco, first time in the toilet bowl over there. But no, there was too much going on last year. Mahomes
I think so.
Blackout night game, Joey's return. There was just too much going on. I think we get this one in Baylor. I don't think we were the better team last year, and we just laid an egg.
Yeah.
I think we're the better team this year again against Baylor. They lost a lot of production. They're playing a lot of young guys. I think I saw they had like 29 oars on their first depth chart of the season. So they don't have a complete team this year, and this could be a tough one for the Bears. So I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to hopefully see Texas Tech get a dub. But I am predicting a 6-0 start as well for Texas Tech.
We ride.
We ride.
Oh yeah, this is a tough one. Joey McGuire wanted to play that game again at the end of the season.
Yeah.
He's like, if there's one team that I would like to play again now, it's Baylor.
I think all of us felt that at the end too.
Yeah, because, and of course, you made the comment on how bad the O-line played, versus Houston last year. But when you compare that to how the O-line played during Ole Miss, it's night and day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everybody was getting mad. It's O-line's terrible, O-line terrible. They were actually getting better game by game by game. It wasn't necessarily obvious, but you can tell my man Hamby is doing a job. He's doing the job.
Yeah.
And so they had to fix some things. They had to use the tight end to kind of help block.
Right.
That's why the tight end wasn't, you didn't see a lot of passes caught by that tight end. I hope that changed, that they can handle themselves a little better this year, and they can utilize a tight end. And Mason Tharp, guy's 6'9". Come on.
And I think Kinley said he's 270 now. He's massive.
He is. I made a comment, once to, and this sounds dumb, and maybe y'all saw this, but, the closer you get to Mason Tharp, the bigger he is. Yeah. Well, I know that's kind of obvious, as you when you get closer to him, it gets bigger. But the dude is just massive. He's tall. He's big. He's going to be a nightmare mismatch if we can utilize him. If our O-line helps us and you can utilize him, he is going to be an absolute monster.
McGuire said he's had the best camp out of everybody on the team this year too. So, you hope that trajects correctly during the season. I think when I think of the Baylor game last year, I think of how our D-line struggled, because I just remember them. It felt like Baylor had the ball the whole game. They were just nothing big on the ground, but 6 yards here, 5 yards here, 7 yards here. And they just nickeled and dimed us down the field the whole game. They had the ball, I feel like, 3/4 of the game, just because they were able to run the ball so well. So the key for us this year is that defensive line's gotta do its job and keep Baylor from running the football, and then you're going to have success against them.
Yeah, it felt like 2-1. I don't know.
Yeah,
I could have looked at it, but it was it just O-line.
You also had a mix. Baron Morton he wasn't good that game, and I think Baron Morton's going to be a great quarterback eventually. But that was a tough one for him. Going everything, but again, everything going on. You're a young quarterback trying to play against a Power 5 opponent and a great coach. I think Dave Aranda's a great coach. Yeah. He had a great scheme. He had a great. He was just well prepared for that night game in Lubbock, and he brought it.
They were definitely ready, and we weren't. We also weren't there as a team yet, like we became at the end of the season. Obviously. So I'm going to ride the train.
All right.
This was a toss up, but let's just go 6-0, right? That's where we're at.
That's right.
6-0. Wreck 'em, guns up, whatever it is that you want to say. Top 10. I don't know where we'd be ranked. Who knows? Top 15-ish.
Yeah.
Let's just go for it.
Let's go.
And to be honest, it's a pretty favorable start of the year. Except Oregon, starting off West Virginia and Houston in Big 12 play. That's nice, all things considered. We could have got like an Iowa State or something like that. Potentially, Cincy has a down year, but you couldn't have asked for probably two easier opponents to start the Big 12 year than West Virginia and Houston.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And Baylor's kind of that game where I think it's going to determine really how you compete in the Big 12, like for the Big 12 tournament or championship game. If you beat Baylor, I think you're going to be in the thick of the race the rest of the way. If you lose to Baylor, I think you're still going to have a chance, but it could bring up some things as this next stretch of games doesn't get any easier. So.
Yeah, because the problem is, you're not just fighting yourself, you're fighting, as far as the Big 12 championship, Oklahoma has kind of a cakewalk schedule, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
If Oklahoma State does as well, if they can figure out and win the 50-50 games, they've got a pretty easy schedule. and so you're fighting that as well. So to get where you want to go, you definitely need to beat Baylor. Oregon isn't as important, right? Because it's not a conference game. You still want to win
Make
it.
you feel better about yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
It'll build the momentum. But, Baylor, that's definitely a big game. Maybe the third on the schedule. Just taking a peek. Yeah. And I guess the next game could be in there as well if because we haven't beaten Kansas State in a long time.
Yeah.
So 6-0. We got Kansas State come to the Jones. This is homecoming weekend, October 14th. We haven't had a bye yet, have we?
We have not. Our bye
No,
comes
we
after.
late bye week.
Yeah, late bye. Yeah, in a couple weeks. I don't even know the last time we beat Kansas State, but we'll be in Lubbock. We had a chance 2 years ago and just couldn't score a single point in the second half.
The end of Matt Wells' tenure here was Kansas State.
That game was kind of a blessing in disguise, to be honest.
Yeah, it really was. It was a debacle of a coaching performance by him. So, and then, last year it felt like you had an opportunity there, and then it just kind of slipped away with Deuce Vaughn and Adrian Martinez being able to run all over you. And then Whistlegate, if y'all remember, Whistlegate happened where all of a sudden there was a whistle blown and Donovan Smith throws the pick that ends up ultimately ending the game.
Yeah, that's right.
And then they come out and said that, nothing happened and they just went along with the call. But anyways, moving forward, I think I got a 6-0, but I think that comes to an end here for whatever reason. I see some losses on the schedule. This 4-game stretch with Baylor, Kansas State, BYU, and TCU is your toughest 4-game stretch of the season. I think you're going to slip up in here. And at Kansas State, for whatever reason, they just always have your number. It doesn't matter the coach. Doesn't matter who's coaching them, who's coaching you, who's quarterbacking for them, who's their running back, although Deuce Vaughn tore us up quite a bit. It just feels like they just have our number for whatever reason. Will Howard is a pretty special quarterback. I think he's going to be really good for them. I think they're going to be in the thick of the Big 12 title race this season, backing up what they did last year. It doesn't matter who they got playing defense for you. They always have a solid defense, and they always make you beat them. Like they don't make mistakes. They don't turn the ball over. They don't commit penalties. They're just always a really well-run machine. And for whatever reason, you just can't get on the right side of it. There's 2 games against purple teams that you can't get on the right side of. And this one I'm okay with losing because I want the other one a little bit more. And we'll get to that one later. But I think Kansas State is the first team to get you on the losing side this year.
Yeah, we talked about Dave Aranda earlier being a great coach. Chris Kleiman is a great coach.
Yeah.
That dude knows how to run a program. He knows how to win games. We've beaten Kansas State 1 time since 2011.
Yeah.
It's just a horrible, horrible stat. It reminds me of that Oklahoma State stat that we had before. I think it was pre-2018 when we finally beat them. But it was like 10 or 11 in a row. This is the same deal. What I am thrilled about is that we're not playing Deuce Vaughn. Deuce Vaughn is the most terrifying player that I've ever watched. It's so frustrating because I just wanted Tony Bradford to pick him up and throw him into the third row, and it never happened. But no, I hate to be toe-to-toe here with you, Brooks, but yeah, I do think this streak continues, and I don't think Texas Tech pulls this one out, and we're off to 6-1 with a little bump in the road here against the Wildcats.
I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed.
I figured.
So I do think we have a chance in this game. I don't think that you're saying that we don't. I'm just stating it directly. I also kind of picked this as a loss, but I'm more so picked it as a loss. Not that I don't think we can win, but just to, I guess, cover my bases so that if one of my earlier games was wrong, then at least maybe we win this game and it ultimately evens out.
It evens out there.
That was honestly as my thinking. Kansas State is just a thorn in our side. I will say that K-State fans, they're nervous about the Texas Tech game, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of goes both ways, which speaks to, kind of where we're at as a program, that we are trending up. I hope that's obvious, but even for the naysayers, you have to at least be curious. Okay, what does everybody see that I'm not seeing, maybe, or whatever? But it'd be great to see no Deuce, no
Yeah.
Martinez. I don't. Not that Will Howard can't run, but that's just not how he's going to beat you like Martinez could.
Right.
If we contain Deuce, then there goes Martinez for 70 yards or whatever it was. It felt like 70 yards. It might have been 50, but
I think they both had like 200 yards on the ground that
it
game.
was-
felt
it
like,
was
This was
nuts.
the game of big plays. Kansas State
Yeah.
had like 4 60-plus yard plays in this one that just
Yes.
thorn in your
Yeah.
back.
and we still had a chance to win the game in
Exactly.
the fourth quarter. How
Yeah.
crazy is that? And it just kind of fell apart at the end, kind of like TCU did as well. You were just so close, and then yet so far away, just not quite there yet as a team. So, but anyway, I won't like it. I'll have to tweet at John Kurtz, especially if we win. But I will record this as our first loss. That's 6-1, I believe. I should have been writing
Still
this down.
pretty good.
1, 2,
That's still
3,
a pretty
4.
good start,
That's fantastic. Especially since I did drop a bet down in Vegas for the over at 7.5. So if we get to 8, I'm good to go as far as my wallet and then my wife's feelings.
Yeah.
So
Oh man, we're also looking at bowl eligible 6 or 7 games into the season. I mean, that's
yes,
That's great. Yeah.
unprecedented territory here for Texas Tech. So I know
Yes.
we're super high on this, but you're thrilled with 6-1.
Oh yeah, and like I think like Jeff said there, I'm kind of using this as the cover for Baylor. I feel like Baylor, Kansas State. I feel like you're going to lose one of those games. Maybe you lose to Baylor and then you come back and beat Kansas State. Maybe you beat Baylor and then lose to Kansas State. I don't know where that loss falls. I'd rather go with the better team that you lose
Yep.
to.
all right. This will be a fun game. I think I'll be there. Provo, Utah, first trip to BYU. Maybe we played him back in the day, but it'll be my first time going to BYU. I should look that up to double check. But so BYU joins the conference. Maybe they have a lot of question marks. Not sure where they're going to be. You have to assume there's probably just like Cincinnati and Houston. There's going to be an adjustment period. But here we go. Provo, Utah. What do we got? BYU.
I think they have a little bit of a easier path to joining the Big 12 because they've been independent. They've been playing really good teams for several years now, so it's not like they're not used to just having a lot of good teams on their schedule like some of these other schools from smaller conferences are. But I do think they struggle a little bit. I think they might have the best chance out of the newbies to have a really, really solid season. What they bring in Keaton Slovis for his whatever 4th or 5th stop at a university. So we'll see how he does there. But I feel confident in this one. I think this is, after you lose to Kansas State, I feel like this is a good get-right game on the road. Really prove that you belong in the Big 12 title race, that you're kind of here to stay, that loss was just a blip on the radar, get things corrected. What will be a fun crowd. I'm jealous that you get to go this one. This was one that I did have circled as I would like to go out there and just kind of see that environment, because I've seen like graphics in the future Big 12. I think they have the biggest stadium, or the biggest the stadium that can hold the most audience. So it'll be a loud one. It'll be a fun one. It'll be quite the scene there with the mountains in the background. But I think that's a perfect recipe for a Texas Tech dub. Get back in the win column, 7-1, and headed home for the bye week and a huge game coming up.
Yeah, all time Texas Tech 1-0 against the BYU Cougars.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
The
Keep it
one
going, baby.
game, 1940, Texas Tech won 21-20. So,
Barn burner.
riding high off that one game win streak. Yeah, I don't necessarily agree that BYU is going to have the best of the new four year coming in. I think they have a lot that is unproven. I'm not a slowest guy, much like I'm not a Bo Nix guy. Just the dudes that make constant stops. It's just tough. I don't think that's a recipe for a good team when you got a guy like that leading the way. I like Sataki. I think he's a good coach.
Yeah.
I think BYU overall is going to be fine in the Big 12, especially when they bring in Utah and that holy war, and everything's going to be so much fun to have them in the conference. But no, I do think Tech takes care of business. This is going to be probably our toughest road game besides UT. Is going to be BYU. It's just that they have a great crowd. They have a great fan base. They show out all the time. It's just one of the toughest places to play. And Jeff, I'm jealous that you get to be there. Provo's definitely on my list of places I want to be. But yeah, I think Tech gets them in year one.
I'm ready for some cougar tail. I'm ready. The food. No, I'm not being dirty for you people out there. So it's a pastry, I believe. I'll have to get closer, and then I hear they give out the ice cream. Third quarter
milk
or
if you
something.
want. Yeah, I think they just started serving caffeinated drinks, so you can get soda now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm excited. You see the pictures and the mountains in the background, and I just think it's going to be a cool environment. I think they're 63, 65, somewhere around there. Just above the Jones by a couple thousand, I think. So not a huge difference, but I think it'd be a lot of fun. I think be ready. It'd be cool to see somebody new. This is our first new one? Well, Houston, we've already seen them.
Yeah.
Well,
we already got that familiarity with Houston.
Yeah.
That
While
doesn't-
Houston's new to the Big 12, it's not new to us. So that's kind of what I was thinking. So that I think it'd be really a lot of fun to go and check it out. And just like the others, I don't think they're ready yet. Of course, I do think they'll get there. Especially with Utah. And they do win some recruiting battles against Utah.
Yeah.
And now they're in the same league. I think it's going to be a little bit easier for them. And so I know a lot of the fans are excited because when BYU and Utah were in the same league, BYU actually had the winning advantage.
Yeah.
Okay, it's when Utah went to the Pac-12 and they were, in a better league that they got, better players and et cetera, more money, and then Utah started dominating. So they're at least the maybe the most rational of the fans. Like they understand where they're at.
Yeah.
Maybe more so than that team in Central Florida. So definitely Houston. Although they don't really have a online presence.
No,
they
the Coug fans are hard to come by unless you're in Houston. But BYU is such a different type of program because they have grown men on their team. They have guys that are 24 and 25 with 2 kids, have been married for 6 years. It's going to be fun to have them in the conference just because they're so different and their fan base is rabid. It's going to be great.
Yeah, and they're great. From what I've seen, every fan base has their bad apples, right? We have ours, and Texas has the majority of theirs. So, but BYU, they've been great. They've been fun. They've been great. They've been kind of realistic, which is nice to see. I would say more realistic than Tech fans have been. So, it's going to be fun. I've got Tech winning, of course. They're not ready yet. That's fine. It's going to be a fun game. Probably bust out the Wizard outfit out there.
There you go.
There you
we'll see. I've got a guy that's hosting me, so we'll we'll see what that's going to be like, and we'll have a good time, and then hopefully, I can tweet after that. BYU has never beaten Texas Tech, so
Yeah. Let's move to 2-0 against them all time.
that's
That
right.
sounds good.
Two
Right now,
and
win
0.
streak. Win streak.
Yeah. Dominating win streak.
There you go. All right, so we are 8-1, 6. What are we at? Oh, yeah, 1, 2,
7-1.
7-1. Yes. All right. Okay, I may have lied. This is probably the third biggest game. TCU on a Thursday, November 2nd. So I guess technically that's a bye, right?
Yeah, so we play BYU, then we have a bye the following Saturday, and then we play TCU on
Yeah.
Thursday. So we have like two kind of,
Yeah.
You're getting
halves
you're getting
off, yeah.
10,
you're getting
12.
3 or what? Two less rest days than other teams that have a bye week normally.
Right.
Because you're playing on Thursday that next week. So
Right.
that part of it's unfortunate. But I think I'd rather have a bye week at this point in the season than very front of the season. I think Oklahoma State has a week 4 bye week. So
Yeah.
I'd rather be in this position than them.
Yeah, I like where it lands, especially after those, Baylor, Kent State, BYU. That's a tough 3-game trio there, so you can kind of catch your breath, get ready for the last part of the season, which starts with, TCU, which is a huge one for me. I think a huge one for Texas Tech fans. I think a huge one for the upcoming Big 12. I think this is kind of one of the fun budding rivalries that is going to be here once UT and OU depart, moving into the future Big 12. Our fan bases love to go back and forth. They love to try to keep our fans out of their stadiums. They do whole ticket sales just to keep us away. But you can only try. We will find our ways into your stadium. But yeah, another purple team that you just haven't had success against recently. They've, I think, won 4 straight against you. Over the last decade, they've really kind of dominated this rivalry, and this is one that I need to get on the right track of. I want to win this one badly. I'm not sure what Chandler Morris is going to look like as the starting quarterback. He was the original starter last year, was unseated pretty early on, and we know what happened after that. Max Duggan took off and led them all the way to the Natty. But they lost a lot of stuff. They lost a lot of receivers. Their defense was pretty young last year, so they build on that, get a little bit more experience back there. And then I know they're one of the teams that had a lot of success in the transfer portal, bringing a lot of guys over, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So they're still going to be a really good team this year. I don't expect them to take a huge dip from last year, but this is one that I want and need to win. And in front of what will be a raucous crowd on a Thursday night here in Lubbock, I think we get the job done. I think we get back on track on this side of the rivalry with a victory and move on to 8-1 and still right in the thick of that Big 12 championship race.
I wish I agreed with you. I really do. I'm glad that we're finally disagreeing because I think we've agreed the entire time. So this is good.
It would be boring
good
if we just
TV.
picked all.
Yeah, this is good TV right here. Finally a disagreement, but no, I hate that this game is on a Thursday. I hate Thursday night games. I'll say it again. I hate Friday night games unless it's like on a holiday. I just don't like it. I get the TV ratings argument. I get it. You're just not going to get the raucous fan base that you're normally going to get on a Saturday night. You're just not. People have jobs. Lubbock, unfortunately, is a couple hours from where a lot of Tech fans live, and it's hard to get to these Thursday night games. And not that I don't think the Jones will be rocking. I think it's going to be great. The Lubbock local are going to show out like you gentlemen, but no, I hate that this game is on a Thursday, and I think that's going to be a downfall for us. And TCU, like you said, 4 straight against us. They kind of have our number. All signs are pointing towards Texas Tech should win this game. TCU lost Kendre Miller. They lost Quentin Johnson. They lost Max Duggan. They just don't have the team that they had last year, and they should take a significant dip. But I just still think they pull it out here in Lubbock, and I hate having my 2 losses so far be at home. because I know that's not what Joey McGuire wants to do. But I'm saying that TCU is going to win this one.
All right. Hefe gets to make the decision.
Yeah. Well, I say screw you and screw TCU. Even if I thought they were going to win, I would not pick them.
Yeah.
This is the game that we have on the schedule that's circled. I kind of forgot about it in the midst of the others. I guess because of the placement of the game and maybe Thursday as far as the big games. But this is probably number 2, right?
Yeah.
The whole, I think the cactus thing is probably worn out. You know, I've removed it from my Twitter name. A lot of people still have them, and that's fine. I'm not going to chastise anybody for keeping it on there. But just the arrogance is frustrating, right? Mm-hmm. I think the other side of it is it's not really unwarranted arrogance, right? They've kind of earned it.
Yeah.
They deserved it. You know, where Texas hasn't, at least in recent years, TCU kind of has. And they have our number, and it's frustrating to no end to keep freaking losing to these purple teams. I'm like, why? I'm tired of looking at purple. I feel like going to my closet and burning my purple clothes. I don't like it. They're stupid little horned frog. It's a lizard. It's not even a frog. And they're stupid. What is this? Knuckle up? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, that has nothing to do with a frog or a lizard. I maybe being horny if you want to be dirty, but I don't even know. Like, what are you doing?
I don't know.
Like, this is ridiculous. Like, I'm tired of losing to these purple teams. Yeah. Kansas State, at least their fans are nice about it. So I kind of get over it. And John Kurtz is a cool dude. And I've got some TCU friends, but I don't have to like them during the game. So I'm just going to hope that they lost enough to where Tech has the advantage. We're playing at home. It is going to be raucous. Probably won't be full. I don't know if maybe not sold out. Yeah. But I think they'll be loud. I think Tech fans.
At this point in the season, if you're 7-1, like we have us, predicted correctly, 100% right. Like it's going to be a busy.
That changes. You beat Oregon. Oregon. People are buying TCU tickets. People are buying UCF tickets. Like they're just doing that after you beat a top 15 team and you're riding high.
Yeah, you're going to be fine. But if you have a few losses and not the record that we boldly predicted here, maybe Steven's more correct here in that, maybe some of that excitement will die off and maybe you won't have as raucous of a crowd. But Thursday night kind of standalone game here for you. I think the crowd shows up for it, and it'll be a good time.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it'll still be. I guess if you're 4-3, maybe, but I think 5-2, you're still. Mm-hmm. Hey, we still have something to play for sure. Especially if one of the losses to Oregon, and so you only got one loss in conference.
Yeah,
like I think you're still fine.
People are gonna show up for TCU. It's gonna happen. Like the Tech fan base is gonna show out for this game. I just think they would show out more if it was on Saturday.
Nobody's arguing with that.
Yeah.
It is. It does say wear black.
Yeah.
So I guess it's a blackout.
That's the blackout game.
So, there's some. It's gonna be. It's gonna be fun.
Also the centennial celebration, I believe, for the TCU game. So they're actually gonna celebrate the centennial. I guess do some big thing for it.
Well, we have a. Here, I'll just throw it up there. I don't care. We have a not nice, maybe a TCU fan. I'll just throw it up there. I guess saying Daddy is here, but we'll see. We've got to change that. Until we start winning these games, we kind of have to take that, right?
Yeah.
We don't have to like it, but until we win,
you gotta prove that you can get those victories. It's kind of
we've got to start winning.
It's like, hey, you gotta get on the right side of it. So
Yep.
And it looks like I don't know. It looks like we're on our way. I think, and I like Sonny.
yeah, oh, yeah.
Right. I think he's a good coach. Got kind of a raw deal on Cal, but Cal's not very good, and they just don't care anymore.
Cal's a tough job, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cal's a tough job.
So, but Sonny Dykes, he's a good dude. He's all in on TCU, and that's fine. That's what he should be.
Oh yeah.
So I'm not going to criticize. I know he kind of said some things or just kind of promoted some anti-tech tweets coming from his coaching staff. But you know what? He won the game. We lost. I would expect, maybe Joe McGuire to do somewhat the opposite, in a reverse situation. So we'll see. But, I definitely like where Tech's trending. And, let's see if we can and it's cool, obviously, to see Tech win some recruiting battles, right, against TCU.
Yeah.
Right. So, Daddy, we're coming. But I appreciate I appreciate your comment. Okay, so we are officially 8-1 at this point.
And El Jefe has cashed the 7.5 over.
Yes.
Made wife happy.
Yes, I am
Life is
in.
good.
I am in the money.
Cashing that bet right now.
Absolutely.
You haven't won 8 games in the regular season since 2008, so that would be quite the accomplishment.
It's been
Pretty good year.
It's been
pretty good year that year, wasn't it?
forever. So just a bad. Well, at least what ended up being bad coaching hires after bad coaching hire.
Yep.
At the end of the day. All right, we are November 11th. 10 days later, we're going to Lawrence, Kansas to face the Jayhawks.
Yeah, Kansas was one of the fun little stories at the beginning of last year. Jalen Daniels was electrifying the country. He gets hurt, and Kansas season kind of derails from there. He's back, and the preseason conference player of the year. I think Kansas will be a fun team this season. I think their offense is going to be fun, but one of the things that was bad about them last year was their defense. Their defense was awful. It was kind of like some of those days that we remember with Cliff here when we were putting up a lot of points but still ending up on the wrong side of the scoreboard. So I think that's going to be a kind of similar thing for Kansas this year. I think they're going to have some fun games. They're going to put up a lot of points. They're going to be giving up a lot of points, and I think you're going to be able to go into Lawrence, control Jalen Daniels, put up a lot of points against this defense, and come away with yet another victory, moving on to 9-1, and just feeling really good about yourselves after yet another victory in the Big 12 Conference.
There you go. I'm sitting at 7-2, with the 2 losses being to the purple teams. I think you're coming off a loss against TCU. You're mad, you're angry, you're ready to beat the brakes off of somebody. And I think you beat the absolute brakes off of Kansas. Like, I have full faith that you're just going to take care of business in Lawrence. This is pre-stadium renovation. They're still in that small, tiny little place.
Yeah.
Like you said, they have no defense. I don't think that is very much of an improvement this year. I like Jalen Daniels. I think he's fantastic. I like their running backs. I think they're fantastic. We've seen situations very personal to us where you have a fantastic quarterback and you win 5 games in the season. And so I think you absolutely beat the brakes off of Kansas in this one, and you get back on track and you're sitting at 8-2 in my eyes.
I don't know about beating the brakes off. I do think we'll win comfortably. With 2 scores, or 2 touchdowns, I guess what I'm trying to say, 14 ish points. I think the offense, I think is much improved. I think, was it Daniels?
Yeah.
Yep.
Quarterback. I went blank for a second again. See, getting old is not very fun. Jalen Daniels, he's just exciting.
Yeah.
He could easily be, the Big 12 Player of the Year, possibly, depending on how Kansas does. I'm not necessarily predicting it, but I think he's definitely in the running. He can put up stats. He can win with his legs. But are they going to be able to who are they going to be able to stop? Right.
Yeah.
That was their problem. I think they got a kind of an easier schedule, kind of similar to what Texas Tech schedule's been. Maybe about 10 years ago, whatever, where it seemed to be the beginning of the season. So we start out, 5-0, 6-0, whatever, and then we would lose the last, whatever games.
Yeah.
Something almost happened. They were able to beat Oklahoma State to get that 6th win. They started out 5-0 and then started losing. But they got that bowl eligibility. So I think they'll be fighting for that again.
Yeah.
But that's kind of it. Similar to last year. I don't know that they just don't have the complete team yet, right? I do like their coach. So good on them for the upgrades, right? And
just a few years ago they were winning 0 games. So this is anything is good for them right now.
Was it 2020?
Yeah.
When they win 0? I think it was 2020.
Yeah, it had to be 20 or maybe 21. They might have got 1 or 2, but
I think it was 19 where they went 0-12. Might have been 18. I don't know.
Be any of
They just had a number of horrible years where they were winning 1-0, 2 games. Their running back room's good too. It's not just Daniels.
Yeah.
Devin Neal's fantastic. Highshaw's really good, and he got injured last year, and they were still good. They're going to score a lot of points. They're not going to win a lot of games. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
agree.
It's going to be very, very Cliff-esque.
Very 2016 Texas Tech
is what you're telling me. But yes, I do have us winning in Lawrence. We'll have to see if we can avoid the block kick fumble play if we need to. My apologies for bringing Danner on a 9-1 season.
I gotta go throw up real quick.
Okay. All right, November 18th, 2 days before my birthday. We're back in the Jones. We got UCF. Our final new member, new Big 12 member, is coming to town. The Knights.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. Like we talked about kind of with BYU, that new blood, that new conference blood. Excited for this one. Glad that this one is in Lubbock for the first season. We're also all familiar with their fan base and their irrationalness on Twitter, and I think they're definitely confident in them coming into the conference and having immediate success. But I think they'll learn kind of quickly that the Big 12 is a lot tougher than they imagined, and they're going to have, I think they'll have some fun moments, but I think they'll ultimately have a few tough losses in there, a few humbling experiences. They do have John Reese Plumlee, who is a fun quarterback. He led the team in rushing last year. I think they expect more from him through the air this year. They're going to have a fun offense. This could be another kind of shootout type of game. But one of the things that's in common with a lot of teams that we're going to kind of face is that their defenses just weren't good last year. UCF's defense, I don't think, is going to be able to come into Lubbock and handle this offense. And I think you're going to see yourself to yet another victory and another, go 3-0 against all the new teams that you get to face this year, and set yourself up for what will be a huge matchup to end the season. And so, I'm going to go a dub over the Knights in your first opportunity to play them as conference foes. I think this is the first time that you're playing them in football. So
first time ever you're playing UCF.
I think so, yeah.
It's going to be fun. My co-host Tristan is going to be here. He's going to make the trek back to the Holy Land that is Lubbock, Texas.
All right.
Very jealous of him, but this is a personal fun week for me because I get out of this horrible state of Louisiana and I move back to the great state of Texas this weekend. So hopefully sometime during the moving process we can catch this game and watch a good Tech dub. But I think UCF is going to have the best season of the 4 newcomers. I think they have a really solid team. I'm not a firm believer in Gus Malzahn. I think he's a fine coach. I don't think he's going to be that coach that ever takes you over the top again, like he did previously with some great Auburn teams. But no, I think Tech gets this one. senior night, you're going to be extra sort of motivated. Tyler Shuck, Jalen Hutchings, Tony Bradford, Baylor Cup, Rabbit. I mean, you have countless super seniors that are on this team that are going to be honored pregame. And, I mean, get there, I guess, 2 hours early for the pregame festivities for this one because we have so many seniors. But, no, excited for this one. It's going to be a fun game. I don't think it's going to be like a barn. I don't think Tech's going to blow them out or anything. I think UCF's going to put up a good fight. But I do think Tech takes this one.
All right. Yeah, same here. I do think UCF is probably the most equipped this year to at least make some noise. At least of the four, we'll see. It's still an unknown, right? Now I do like Gus Malzahn, so I'll differ there slightly. Now whether he's a championship type coach, I don't know. Maybe that's what you were saying. But I think he's a good coach, maybe a perfect coach to kind of lead them into this new league. He has the experience, has the SEC experience, at least kind of knows what to expect from Big 12 teams, at least from that front as far as the physicality is concerned, or maybe some of these other teams don't. I guess Dana knows, obviously. But
he's pretty comparable to Dana when you're thinking all things considered. Just knows the game, has coached at that high level before, but I don't know. I've just never really been a believer in the Gus bus.
I think they'll get some of those humbling moments. I think that's because they do have, they got Kansas State, Oklahoma State, obviously us. I think they're still going to be a really good team this year. I think, like Steven said, I think they're probably going to maybe have the best chance at having immediate success in this first year. But I think they think that they're just going to walk in and win the conference in year one. Their fan base does. And so I think for them, anything less than 8-4, it would be considered bad on their end. And so I think that's kind of where they're going to face reality a little bit. Is hey, 8-4 is not bad in the Big 12.
Yeah. I think it. Yeah, that's true. But I think I don't see 8 wins. I don't know what the Vegas line was for them. Maybe it's 7.5. Maybe it's 6.5. I don't know. But I feel like any
non-conference,
any of the new teams, if they're just bowl eligible, they should be happy. They should probably be ecstatic.
6 or 7 wins is a great year for them in the first year in
Yes.
the Big 12. I think that, and that's the same. That applies to BYU. It applies to Cincy and Houston as well.
Yeah. So, but yes, I do have Texas Tech taking care of business, which gives us. Let me just take a quick look.
I think I got us 10-1 right now.
Okay.
I think we're at 10-1 right now.
I got
Well,
9-2. Y'all got 10-1.
Yeah. Well, the official Taco and Tech record is 10-1.
I tell you what, I didn't think I would be the downer here. I really didn't. I came in with this prediction. I was like, okay, I don't know if these guys are going to quite beat me, and y'all exceeded me.
And so our lone home loss is Kansas State. Oh, that's our lone loss. So we're going undefeated on the road so far. So this is.
Well, toughest road game is at the end of the year, so hey.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here we go. This is it. This is the game.
Yep.
This is the Super Bowl. This is the Yormark Bowl.
Their Super Bowl, apparently.
This is their Super Bowl. Yes.
They're already throwing up videos about us.
Yes.
So.
They can't get enough of Texas Tech. We are in their heads already, and the season hasn't even started. And it wasn't even comments that we made. It was the commissioner made the comments, and they're all upset, which is really funny. But
who would have ever thought a commissioner would be on the Texas Tech side of a Texas Tech and Texas argument?
Oh, for real.
Yeah. But yeah. and I know all Tech fans are going to be excited about this game. I hate that it falls in Austin this year. I would have loved to have the last chance to be in Lubbock, like last year was, with a great win. I think Texas is going to be pretty good this year. I think they're probably going to drop some games. I don't see them making the college football playoff or anything like that, but like Texas always should, they have a lot of talent and they have it all. Has come together this year. They got great receivers. They've got, a lot of potential at the quarterback position. I think it's going to be a really close game, though. I see this one kind of maybe being like last year a little bit, where it comes down to whoever has the ball at the end, maybe overtime again. I see you throwing everything you can at them, but ultimately I see Texas winning this one. But it's okay because I've got a rematch coming in Dallas for this one. So, but yeah, I think Texas gets you here, and you end the season 10-2. But yeah, rematch coming.
I've felt very strongly about this game, not only because it's Texas, but just because of the atmosphere of where you are as a program, what is happening in college football in general. I said this on our podcast. I said this on the Bear Den podcast with our buddy Joe Goodman. The only way that Texas Tech loses this game is if Joey McGuire physically explodes his players' heads in the pregame locker room. And there's a massive, tough scene. There's medics everywhere. There's blood everywhere. It's just a horrible sight. And you have some players out for this one. But I just don't think.
You're saying Joey McGuire's hype speech before the game is just too much for.
I'm saying Joey McGuire's hype speech
contain.
is going to explode some players' heads. And that's the only way we lose this game. I feel very strongly about this, that in the biggest moment, and what is probably the biggest game in, I don't know how long. I'm not going to start saying it's bigger than 08 or it's bigger than this or that, but it's a really big game because this is going to be the last time you play this team that you've played for 100 years. And you want to end off on a win very badly in Austin, Texas. I think Tech gets it done. And I think we go to the Big 12 championship on a 10-2 record.
All right. So we ended up at the same point. Just
Yeah.
Yeah, just
a few different games to get there.
got there a little different. Where am I at? Where am I at?
There it is.
Horns down. Suck it, Texas Twitter. Horns down, up in your face. And let me get as close as I can. Right here, my Superman ring. Where's that? Boom, horns down.
There it is.
I'm not a believer in Steve Sarkisian. I'm not a believer in his little motivational tactic.
yeah.
Let's show the commissioner's comments. Number one, it's before week 1. You're not playing Texas Tech week 1. You need to show that video before whatever week this is, week 12, week 13, I guess, with the bye week, whatever you want to say, before game 12. And I'm sure they will, But by this point in the season, I do think that they will have had some losses. I'm not sure, if Texas Tech is 10-1 at this point, we're playing for far more than they are.
Yeah.
And that's my personal opinion. I don't think Quinn Ewers will be the starting quarterback at the end of the season. I think he's going to struggle, and the pressure's going to force him to give it to Arch Manning.
Wow.
That's my guess. He's not ready either. But I think they'll drop some games in the middle or kind of early. And I think the pressure, the hype of this season will be too much. They're going to switch quarterbacks because they have to win, and they're not going to win. Let's see what we got.
11-1.
We got Tom Double T Rex. He's got Tech upsetting Texas in Austin. Why? Because your mark is hitting. that Tech will finally get a fair shake with the officiating.
Tom, obviously, respect
I will
your opinion.
take it.
Respect your opinion, my man. If anybody thinks Brett Yormark's comments have anything to do with the officiating in the Big 12 this year, you are psychotic. You are insane. If you think the commissioner of this conference is telling the Big 12 refereeing crews to screw Texas and Oklahoma because they're leaving the conference, no, that's not happening. That's never happened. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I understand, given fair shake, whatever, UTOU, I get it, but no, that's not what's going to happen. I think we're going to beat them fair and square.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, Tom Double T Rex, I like it. I do. I have us winning the game. Similar fact. I think it's going to be tough. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but just like last year, my man Joey McGuire said we're going to beat OU and tear down the south end zone. This year he says we're going to beat Texas and send them out with a loss. And that's where Texas will not be in the championship game. There will be no rematch. They will have lost too much. Arch Manning is going to be the end of season starting quarterback because Quinn Ewers couldn't get it done, or at least they didn't have the patience to stay with him. Yeah. One of the two. I don't believe in their coaching staff as a whole. They have great recruiters. I don't know if they have good coaches. We'll see if I'm wrong or not. But like Steve Sarkisian hasn't won more than 8 games ever as a head coach. I don't think that changes this year.
Yeah.
Now I'm a Texas hater. I don't care. So take that for what it's worth. But until Steve Sarkisian shows me that he can win more than 8 games, I am not going to give him the benefit of the doubt like everybody gives Texas every single stinking year. So I am not Texas, prove it to me. Prove it to me.
Yeah, I think a lot
Texas
of people
fancy
agree with that,
boots, prove it to me.
Yeah, they haven't done anything. I'm always so worried that I'm gonna, say the thing and then they go off and do it. Like I'm gonna be so confident in them sucking this year and then they go off and I don't know. Believe me, I want to win this game more than anything. Like it would be such a great into the season to finish off with a victory over Texas and then go on to the Big 12 championship. That would be the greatest thing ever. But yeah, I think Texas is going to be all right this year. I think they got a chance. And I do want to beat them in the Big 12 championship. I think that would be sweet. I think that would be pretty awesome. And that's my birthday weekend. That would be a great birthday gift to go to Dallas and watch us beat Texas in the Big 12 championship. I think that would be fantastic.
I just don't know how you watched Texas last year and think that's a playoff contender with minimal pieces that you added. I mean, you added a few guys on the offensive line, you added a few guys on defense, but the defense is going to be the downfall of that team. And I still think they're going to be good. I think they're going to win 8-9 games probably, potentially even 10. But I don't believe in Ewers as much as the rest seems to believe in Quinn Ewers.
Right.
I think he's going to be a good quarterback. I don't know if he's ever going to be a great quarterback. They lost Bijan Robinson. They lost Roschon Johnson. I mean, they have a great wide receiver room, but their defense still has a lot of question marks. And so, if you're talking actual football here, that's my take on Texas. But no, I think there's no way Tech loses this game. I really don't.
Yeah.
All right.
I do have a confession to make. So we had our fantasy football draft last night.
Oh, you took him, didn't you?
I do have Bijan Robinson.
Okay, he's
wearing
a Falcons jersey. He's wearing red and black now. He's okay.
He is wearing red and black.
He's a great player. He fumbled in the red
12th
zone against Texas Tech.
Yeah, I was a 12th pick. So let me clarify. It wasn't like I took him first overall.
Oh, that's good value at 12.
I was 12th pick. So I got Bijan, and then I had back-to-back picks. And then I took CeeDee Lamb. So I took a former Longhorn and a former Sooner with my first 2 picks. So I got a little bit of slack, deservedly so. But I'm here to win the championship. I'm not here to play favorites. So
Pretty good value there with the 12th pick. Who's letting Bijan drop to the 12th pick? I want to know.
a bunch of Red Raiders. That's who.
That's fair. Okay.
So
Respect.
I took okay. So the official tally for the Taco and Tech football season is 11-1, and we're laughing out of joy, not out of disbelief.
This is definitely not going to come back and bite us in the butt. Definitely.
No. I am
If
riding.
we go 11-1, we're the greatest ever, and then we have to do this every single year.
We do, absolutely. You know, if we're 10-2, we have to do it every single year.
Yeah.
I would.
We win 9 games. I'm thrilled. You know?
Oh,
I think like that's the key thing I want to say to Tech Feds is like again, we haven't won 8 games in the regular season since 2008. A step in the right direction, winning 8 games is still an accomplishment. I know we're very, very high on this team, and we just have us going 11-1, 10-2, you know, all that good stuff. But hey, like a step in the right direction this season is still a success. 9 wins is fantastic.
11-1.
So, but yeah, you know, it's hard to not drink the Kool-Aid right now. Like the season's here, you know, every year right before season kickoff, I'm like, all right, we're going undefeated straight to the Natty. And I feel that more than ever this year.
There's just simply no way we can lose. No way.
There's no way. There's no way. Once you crack that first beer of the season,
Yeah.
it's undefeated. Let's go until.
Well, and I'm also projecting to a certain. I'm looking at last year. I'm looking at how much the offensive line improved. Now maybe some of the not necessarily tricks, but you know they did things to help it out. But I'm going to assume that I think our coaching staff is freaking fantastic across the board. It really is, position by position. And so I'm trusting them to, you know, whatever weaknesses may show at the beginning of the season, they're going to fix. So in a similar manner at the end of the season, which that's when we're playing Texas, I think Texas is going to be going down. Tech will still be going up. So I am projecting that same thing that happened last year. That's all I had to go on, right?
Yeah.
The same coaching staff. You know, we upgraded at the wide receiver coach, right? We lose Emmett Jones, and Coach Squire's like, okay, hey Juice, you want to come? Okay, see you tomorrow. It was done. It was done like that. Like, oh my gosh.
Potentially the best receiver in the conference in Duran Bradley, who I'm just like, you know, I loved last year, and I think he's only going to build off that and be an absolute weapon for you this year. I mean, you rewatching that Oklahoma game the other night, he was just torching those dudes, and then he was great in the Ole Miss game. Like he's going to be fantastic. You've got a lot of youth. I love that there's a good mixture of, like Steven's talked about, there's so many seniors on this team, but you also got a lot of young dudes who are out here trying to compete for playing time. And you see some of those freshmen listed on the depth chart there on the defensive side of the ball that are going to see some time. And so I think that's what you need to be successful. Veterans who know what they're doing, and then a bunch of young, hungry guys who are out there trying to make a name for themselves, you know, and you got that.
Yeah, you got depth on this year's team. You got the best backup quarterback in probably the nation. You got some killer young running backs. You have a deep wide receiver room. I mean, I think we returned 13 of our 14 leading receivers last year. You go 6 deep on the D-line. You go 3 deep on the corner. I mean, you just have a really, really solid team all the way through. And so that mixed with the returning coaching staff, second year in the system for everybody, so many seniors. You have to be high on this team. If you're not high on this team, you're not paying attention.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yes, 100%. We are deep at every position. You know, I feel like the only question mark I really have is, well, I guess 2. So I'll give one on defense, one on the offense. So that defense is linebackers. You know, okay, we lost quite a bit. Who's going to step up? Are they going to be serviceable, or can they get the job done? In practice, the short passes were it was swarm defense, like the old days, like Spike Dykes. It was they were on it. You know, how many of those were linebackers? I'm not sure, so that's hard to say. But I have to imagine some were, right?
Yeah.
That's hard to watch when I'm trying to look at everything. On the offense, I'm wondering about running back depth because you really just have Taj Brooks, and there's not, as far as experience is concerned, there's not much behind him. Right? You had Cameron Valdez, who played last year. Then what? Bryson Donald, I pronounce his name.
Yeah. A lot of youth.
Played very sparingly. When he did, he had some pretty good carries. So I'm excited for Bryson. So we'll see. And what's weird about Valdez, he's got a quick first step, and he's got speed, but he doesn't last very long. He gets caught, right? He had the fumble in the end zone, the poke and the ball, and that's I think a couple times that happened. And so those are but other than that, we are deep at every position. We lose somebody, we've got somebody to back it up. And as much hype as Shuck has this year, Bear Morton will have more, especially if a certain 5-star receiver is in Lubbock next year. It'll be off the charts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think to your point on those two positions, you don't have a lot of depth necessarily, but you got beasts that are starting for you.
Yeah.
I mean, Josiah Pierre might be the best defensive player on this team at the inside linebacker spot, and he got moved thanks to who we have on the roster, and it was kind of out of necessity. But I think Jacob Rodriguez is a great player in his own right too. So you got two really good inside linebackers. Hopefully those guys stay healthy. I think Cameron's going to be one of your breakout guys. I think Cameron is going to be a really, really good back for you this year. Getting legitimate snaps, going to give Taj a little break off the bench. But I do agree that those are the two position groups that you look at and say you have a lot of unproven guys right there, but you also have some talent and some young guys that could break out.
Yeah, my last point will just be to pray for quarterback health this year. Lord, we need it. Would love to have a season where you're not on your third string quarterback because everybody's hurt. So I hope Tyler Shuck's healthy and Bear Morton healthy as well, and that these guys can have a complete season without having to sit out a game for injury. It's just been something we've been cursed with for the longest time, and that's what I want to see, some quarterback health this year.
2017, Shimanek, that was the last year, and even he didn't play the full year because he got benched against Texas. But it's been 2017 since we've had a quarterback play the full season, really.
Yeah, absolutely
That's
crazy.
Too many years.
Yep. Okay, we'll close out with a few questions. You don't need to expound too much. Who is in the championship game?
Yeah, so I said after saying Texas gets us in the last week, I say we have that rematch in Dallas, that Tech and Texas play for the Big 12 championship, and that the Red Raiders come out the 2023 Big 12 champs. That's what I got.
Yeah, I got Tech and OU. Not that I think OU is vastly improved, but I just think their schedule is an absolute cakewalk. I mean, I really they play nobody in the non-conference. SMU is their toughest game in the non-con, and I just think they beat them, and they go through with potentially their hardest game is against Texas this year.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one they lose, and they are 11-1 going into the Big 12 championship. I think Tech's 10-2, and I think that's the matchup.
I thought I was going to be sneaky. I also have Texas Tech versus Oklahoma for the same reason. I think they'll be a little bit better, but it's the schedule. They play all four new teams. They got out of a non-con with the SEC team because they're moving, and I forgot who it was, but
Georgia.
Okay, Georgia, and so they canceled that game. Weak move, but. That gives Oklahoma a leg up there. Although non-con doesn't really help them in the Big 12 standings, but still, it's just easy as cakewalk. And I think they won't be ready for Texas Tech. I don't think so. If Texas Tech is 11-1, then we have the team that we think that we do. They will not be ready. Okay, next question. Okay, your last place Big 12 team.
I think it's going to be Iowa State this year. I think they've had a lot of we obviously know Hunter Deckers isn't going to be playing. I think they just lost their running back because of this betting scandal. I think they've got a lot of stuff that they're dealing with on the outside that's going to affect the inside of the program. I think it might be a rough year for them. But, to be honest, like in preparation for the season, it's like I haven't even dove that much into Iowa State because we don't play them. So it's just kind of a guess. I think like them or West Virginia or maybe one of the newbies.
Yeah, that's a good bet. I would also say Iowa State, just because of what happened to them, is so late in the offseason. I mean, they were preparing to have Hunter Deckers be their starting quarterback, and now he's not. So they lost their running back, who was supposed to be fantastic this year. So I think it's between a few teams. I mean, I think Houston could be in this conversation. I think West Virginia's there. I think Cincinnati could potentially be there. But no, I got Iowa State just due to the circumstances and everything happening so late.
Yeah, that is tough. I'm going to go with Cincinnati. So let me be a little bit different. I think with they just lost a ton. They lost their coach, kind of lost some momentum. We'll see how. Let me see. Oh, sorry. We had a comment come in. He's just correcting the spelling on your mark. We knew what he meant, and it just distracted me.
Tom.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
No
Always
word.
Spelling.
Yeah, that's right. No grammar Nazis here, so we're good. But I just think Cincinnati has the best chance. They'll be fighting with probably West Virginia, Houston, and of course Iowa State. Just for all their issues. I'm just guessing that Iowa State at least has the base to be able to beat. I haven't looked at their schedule, so I don't know how many of the new teams they play, but I feel like they could at least beat the new teams. Maybe they'll sneak up on somebody late in the season once they've got things figured out and their depth chart, things possibly. Because their defense is, I don't know what he's doing and why nobody's copying their defense. They're just a nightmare to play.
Yeah.
Especially in the cold weather. So I just feel like they're going to get some people in that scenario. So I'll go with Cincinnati. All right, last question, and we'll get out of here. I appreciate you guys. Your favorite Texas Tech tradition?
I mean, there's so many of them. I'll say the tortillas. Obviously we're here on Taco and Tech. The tortilla, because it's so unique. It's so different from anything that anybody else does, and I love when random people come to town and get to experience for the first time. I love that during the Final Four, a tortilla was thrown all the way onto the court. It's just one of those traditions that's so unique, so cool to have, and so I think I have to go with that one because of its uniqueness, and so yeah.
I dig it.
I've been agreeing with Brooks too much this episode, so I'm gonna say something different. I do love the tortillas. I love it so much, but I think wrapping soap suds, wrapping the statue is cool. I've always thought that's a cool thing that we do that not a lot of other schools do. That you're just walking through, especially like freshman year when you're in the dorms and you have to walk across campus to get to the Jones, and you just see the wrap statue. It's game day. People are lining up to take pictures by it. I've always thought that's a pretty cool thing that Tech does.
All right, I'll go. I dig the tortillas. Of course, I'm gonna go with the masked rider leading the football team on the field. I'm in section 2. I'm right there by the tunnel. That's my favorite thing to watch. That the smoke, boom, there goes the horse. A lot of times the horse will kind of dance because he knows his cue's coming. It's kind of fun to see, and then he just takes off. I wish they could just do the double guns up, but I know they get in trouble if the rider does that, so he has to hold the reins and then do one guns up. But it's cool that one time he was able to do it before he got in trouble, and that photo it's just amazing. So I will go with the masked rider, regardless of whether it's Cody, subbing in for a few times, or of course Midnight Matador, or I forget what the what our current horse's name is.
Is it Centennial Champion?
Fearless. I think it is Centennial Champion.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
I was thinking Fearless Champion. I'm like, I don't think that's what it is. But I think you're right.
Centennial Champion had a tough go
Centennial.
at it last year, but it was a rookie season, so
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see what happens. I do also love putting the Ring of Honor members' names on the stadium.
Yes.
Always thought that was a unique touch of just putting those guys' names forever engraved on the Jones. You know, having seen Patrick Mahomes up there, seeing Michael Crabtree, seeing all the tech greats. You know, from EJ Holland, from all the old guys too. You know, you love it.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with any of those choices. I mean, I love it all. I love the game day atmosphere. I love being there. Get chills just about every time the Masked Rider runs through. Jeff, we're in section 1, so we're right next to you there, getting to watch all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, I love it. I loved it since I was a kid. I can't ever get enough of it. So yeah.
Yeah, I do wish they would bring I remember as a kid, going to the games, we would sit in the grass. I guarantee you it was discounted seats or tickets.
Right. Behind the logo.
My dad, he's not a fan of buying tickets, and he's not, or paying a lot for tickets, and he's not a fan of parking. We would park like a mile away because he would not, he refused to pay for parking. And we would sit in the grass area, and then they would throw these little plastic footballs with the game, Texas Tech versus SMU or whatever game they were playing. And so I would catch those footballs, and you'd fight other kids to try to catch those footballs from the cheerleaders, and it was fun. So that'd be cool if they could bring that back. I know they do throw stuff. You have the gorilla, whatever. Who cares? But the little plastic footballs or even soft footballs, that would be cool to bring that back.
The gorilla's got a cannon.
That's right.
Got to get the branding in there.
Absolutely. So, all right, we're about 2 hours. I've held you long enough. I appreciate you guys. This was fun. I did not expect 11-1. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I was like, yeah.
But when you go game by game, with this team, it's easy to talk yourself into a Tech win. It really is. It's hard to imagine, going 12-0. So I felt like I had to get at least one loss. I kind of had two, but I taught myself to just go ahead and go in 11. But you know what? Let's just do it.
Well, it's been so long since we've had like a conversation where you can realistically believe that this team can go 11-1. So we got to enjoy it while we can, because these things are never a given. And so yeah, enjoy it. Go crazy with all your predictions. Go 12-0 for crying out loud. Like, who cares at this point? It's just for fun, and then we'll see what happens.
Well, and you're mad anyway at a loss, so why predict a loss? What are you happy that you predicted a loss? Like, no, we're all upset that we just no. game. So.
Yes, we lost to Kansas State again.
Yes, I predicted that correctly. Awesome. Like, what?
No. Yeah. Good. That's a great point. That's just a great point.
Yeah.
Excellent.
It's been fun, Jeff. It's been a good
Absolutely.
one.
Thank you again for joining. I'm not as consistent on here as probably I need to be, but this is just a side project. It's for fun. I'll do it when I can, and we'll have a little fun talking Texas Tech and get games and do whatever. I appreciate you joining me, on a whim and doing this and just talking for almost 2 hours. So we'll take it, and I'll link your socials and stuff on the description after this ends, and get y'all taken care of there. Other than that, you know what? Just guns up. Reckon where's I gotta get my whatever.
Yeah, it's like where
it can be hard. It would make sense to do it right from my face. I don't know why I don't just do that. That'd be so much easier just to go. But I gotta find it. All right.
Awesome, guys.
All right. Appreciate you.